Me to welcome Dr. Denise Lamothe. Hi, Denise. Welcome.
Hello, Jen. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm very excited to be here tonight.
Yeah, I'm very excited to have you here. And your, background I read, it was so amazing. I mean, at the Quantum Leap, where you and I both attend, but I didn't know much about you at the time, but for preparing for this show, and I read all your background, and that was amazing. You're a very impressive person.
Well, thank you so much.
Okay. And before we go into your accomplishments, but, since this show is American Dreams and the sky is the limit, so could you tell us about your childhood, what kind of a child you were, and, just briefly tell us a little bit about you.
Sure. Well, I was raised in a family with 5 children, and I had a dad who unfortunately was alcoholic.
Ooh.
And in our family, something that was very remarkable and is something in a lot of families, we never talked about our feelings. We never told each other how we felt. And so I grew up feeling very isolated, even though I had 3 brothers and a sister, and my parents were together in our home. It felt very much like we talked about things on the surface. But never was it okay to really say, oh, I feel a certain way. And if I said I feel sad, for example, my mother would say, oh, no, you don't. Or, oh, you're feeling bad, have a cookie, that'll cheer you up.
Oh.
So my mom was always very, very focused on her own weight, and she was focused on my weight and my sister's as well. So when we were quite small girls, around, say, 11, 10 years old, she put us on diets.
Wow.
And diets really cause weight gain. Diets are deprivation, and if you deprive yourself of something, you're going to make up for it later. And so we were deprived a lot, and we had no way to really talk about our feelings or to get support or to really be able to feel connected. And so a lot of my life has been very involved, as you were mentioning, with eating issues. I've weighed half of what I weigh right now, and I've weighed twice what I weigh right now.
Wow.
And everything in between.
Wow.
And I was never very happy until I started to really make peace with myself. And it's not about numbers on the scale. It's really about feeling good and being able to express yourself and be validated for the feelings you have.
Wow. Yeah. And I met you, so I know you in person, and your voice sounds like about between 20 and 30. Can you believe?
Oh, my.
I know for sure you are not 20s, between, mid-20 or 30.
Oh, no.
But
you want me to say how old I am?
Well, yeah, you don't have to, but I know, you are much, more aged than 30 years older. But your voice sounds so young, really, and clear and beautiful.
Thank you. People are usually quite surprised. People who know me have no idea of my age, but I'm actually 64.
Oh my God!
And people never ever think that, and I don't feel like that at all. I feel very young.
Yeah, you don't look 64 when I saw you. And your weight looks so good. Much better.
Well, thank you. I feel great.
Great.
I have lots of energy, and I'm living life on my own terms.
But when you were a child, I know like your environment kind of tend to form your dreams in the future. So was there any the relations of like when you're a child, when your parents, mom was putting you on a diet? Did you ever thought about, in the future when I grow up and I'm going to be this and that? And
well, in my family, where I come from here in the Northeast, and I'm from a French-Canadian family, and what we were told when we were young is you can be a teacher, you can be a nurse, and if you go to college, that's a waste on a girl, because unless you're studying nursing or studying to be a teacher, because what you want to do is you want to be beautiful and thin, and you want to attract a man to take care of you.
Wow, it sounds like something I read in the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I give a lot of information about myself in the book, because what I have found is that The Taming of the Chew was written it's about 10 years old now, but I get letters all the time from people, mostly women, and they say, well, how do you know? You just sound like me. And we're all one. We're all the same. And so what breaks my heart is to have people come to me in my practice and they feel that they're the only ones that are going through feelings of shame and frustration, and they feel like failures. I have another book that will be coming out soon, and I was going to name it, when you and I planned the show, the book title was going to be You're Not a Failure, and It's Not Your Fault.
Actually, that's the title of this show right now for today's.
Yeah, and I like that because that is really what I want to say to people. However, in the publishing world, they say it's too many negative words and they don't want to use that. So it's going to be called Peaceful Mind, Perfect Body.
Oh.
6 spiritual steps to stop overeating.
Oh, okay. Probably that's more of eye-catching in a way. I mean, this You're Not a Failure and It's Not Your Fault is more of the truth, statement. But as for the book title, I might agree with what they are suggesting, because you want to attract the people who you want more people to read it. Actually,
Yeah.
So I think that the title they are suggesting sounds a little better for me, at least, and it's my opinion.
So too. It's more positive.
Yeah.
So I had to play with that a long time to come up with a new title, but I like the new one.
Yeah, it sounds good.
Yeah.
Say it again one more time for the new title.
Peaceful Mind, Perfect Body. 6 spiritual steps to stop overeating.
Oh, okay. Sounds good. Okay.
Yeah.
So when is it coming out? Has it been published yet, or is it coming out?
No, we're in some negotiations, and I'm not sure how it's going to end up being published, but I'm hoping it will be out at least this next year.
Oh, okay. So you're going through the publisher?
Possibly. There's some negotiations, and I don't know exactly how we're going to end up quite yet.
Yeah, mine is coming out in November, but I'm going through the Create Space, the self-publishing.
Yeah.
And I'm excited, really, But anyway, so we have only 3 minutes left for this segment.
Okay.
And let's talk about your work. And you're a psychologist and a doctor of holistic health. And can you put it in the kind of a layman's term, easier word?
Oh, sure. I studied to be a clinical psychologist. And what I discovered was, although my education was superb, they never considered the person as a whole. So if you were anxious, for example, they never said, ask your client if they're drinking 18 cups of coffee. They just were looking at just mental health, and I felt like there was a much, much bigger picture. So I wanted to know about people in a holistic view, the spiritual, the emotional, the social, the environmental, the physical. I want to look at everything when someone comes to see me. Because it's not one size fits all, and everybody is unique.
Yeah, that is very true. And do you think that the emotional eating is a problem, right? But do you think it's only in the U.S. or?
I don't think so. I think it's a pandemic. It's just of huge proportion all over the world. I get Google alerts for obesity, and I read about all these other countries are struggling just as well. However, Americans have the distinction of being the fattest people in the world. Yeah.
Compared to Korea, Koreans and the Japanese and those people are, there aren't that many obese people. But in America, it is easier to spot than in the countries like Korea or Japan.
Yes, well, I've read that. I'd like to someday go there myself and visit. But, I'm talking more about the European countries.
Yeah.
That there's a lot of obesity there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a diet mostly, because Asians eat more, vegetables and...
More vegetables and more fish.
Yeah.
You get more omega-3s. You get, a lot from some soy, but you don't overdo it. And I think that's a lot of that is the key, that diet, to feeling good. And that also is partially for feeling good emotionally.
Overeating is connected to our emotions. And what do you mean by that?
Well, it's an interesting thing. Our emotions are very much affected, particularly by sugar, fat, and salt. And many times people choose to eat things that are loaded with sugar, fat, and salt. Chocolate, has a lot of sugar in it, and people go for McDonald's and fast food and muffins and breads and pastries. And what they may not know is that those things dull their feelings. For example, when people come to me who are going to be having surgery, a lot of people nowadays seem to have either lap band surgery or they have gastric bypass. One of the things that they come to me for, some of the centers will tell them that they have to, is they have to understand that when they can't eat all of that food, their emotions are going to be much, much more powerful. And they really need to learn how to deal with their anger, their sadness, their boredom, their disappointment, whatever the feeling is, without grabbing a donut or a cookie or a candy bar.
Wow. For me, I guess I'm kind of lucky that when I'm angry, I can't eat. So it doesn't really hurt my weight as far as when I'm angry. But I don't want to get angry or frustrated. So I try to control my feelings.
It's okay to get angry, and it's a good thing to express your anger.
Yeah.
What is wonderful is that you don't eat to deal with it, and millions of people do. And one thing that people don't understand is anger. If I'm not saying you, Jen, but if a person turns that anger inside and holds on to it, that becomes depression.
That's true.
That's the definition of depression. So my position and my message is for people to be able to trust their own feelings, to learn how to really communicate with others what's going on for them, and to take care of themselves, number one. A very hard thing for a lot of women to do that, make themselves number one, because we're not used to it. We're used to taking care of everybody else,
Yeah, that's true. In your practice in Exeter, New Hampshire, you help people who are struggling with food control issues. And what do you, really, not really, but what do you do? Can you introduce to our listeners a little more?
Oh, I'd be happy to. When anyone comes to see me, I make no assumptions. And I want to know, as I said earlier, what's going on with them in a lot of different areas of their life. So I spend a couple of sessions really learning about their history. I want to understand where they're coming from, what their experience has been. And I want them to understand why they're overeating. If you look back in your life, like when I shared a little bit of my story, I was never allowed to express emotion, so I learned to eat to suppress the emotion. So I like to do a little history with each person, and everyone is different. And then we talk about, all right, this is how it was in the past, but you don't have to continue in the future. You can take responsibility now for making some really important changes.
Mm-hmm.
And change is an inside job. It's you are the only one that can make the change.